Good morning, everyone. I just want to share a wonderful testimony of God's love and God's goodness, His just awesomeness, His amazing nature, His beauty, and everything. Okay, so yesterday I gathered some clothes that I had, old clothes and shoes and stuff that I wasn't wearing anymore, and I took it to this place where you can sell your clothes and get money for it. So I did that, and before I went though, I prayed. I was like, Lord, I pray that they give me a good amount of money for my clothes, because a lot of stuff that I gave away was nice stuff. You know, some of it was like name brand stuff. Some of it, and even if it wasn't name brand stuff, it was still nice garments, nice things, nice shoes and clothes. So I just was like, Lord, I pray I get, a good amount of money for it. And I'm thinking, like, at least I'm gonna get out of the two big garbage bags that I had. I'm like, at least I would get at least $80 for it or something. And that wasn't so. That wasn't so at all. Excuse the glare in my eyes. I think that's the light or something. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, so I get to the place, and mind you, I have to lug all of these bags. So I'm just like, I get to the place, and then they tell me, well, they look through my stuff. So I'm feeling good about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to come out with some money. I'm feeling hopeful and good about it, and I'm like, I'm about to come out with some money. And so I walk around a little bit, look at the stuff. I wasn't really gonna buy anything because I already, I don't really want to wear secondhand clothing, and it was a secondhand clothing store. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I just prefer, to just buy things brand new, and even in my lowest of times, like, God always provided me with brand new stuff. Like, I remember even when I was homeless at one point, God provided me, like, through His love, through His grace, through His mercy. He sent me to this place where they gave me dress clothes, because I was looking for a job at the time, and they gave me dress clothes and these nice shoes, and they were all brand new, tags on them and everything. So even when I was in my lowest of lows, where people would think that you would have to accept secondhand stuff, God still gave me brand new clothes with the tags on them. Nobody wore them. So I'm just like, and that's another testimony within itself. So again, when I'm at the place, I'm just looking around, just looking at what they have, because sometimes you may find things in stores like that are brand new with tags on them. So I always look out for that, because I remember I went to another place like that, in another area, and it was a consignment shop. But at the same time, I found some nice Under Armour spandex with the tags on them, brand new, and nobody wore them, because it was a day when I'm going all over the place, but it was a day when I was working a job in the past, maybe like a couple years ago, and we had to stand outside, and this one day I wasn't dressed totally properly for the weather, and I needed some long johns, so I went to that store, got some cheap Under Armour spandex, and put them under my pants so I wouldn't be cold. But basically, back to this story. So I'm at this consignment shop. I'm looking around, just browsing. And then I was like, I'm not getting anything from here. So I walk out. And go outside and enjoy some fresh air. Me and baby girl enjoy some fresh air. And what happened? So now I'm like, okay, I feel God leading me to go back inside. So I'm like, okay, I think it's a good time to go back inside. So I go back in, use the bathroom, whatever. Then I come up, and they tell me, oh, your stuff is done. So I'm like, oh yeah, time to cash out. mind you, get to the register. And she's like, okay, so we can either give you. So she's like, we could either give you $4.88 in. We could either give you $4.88 in cash or six something in store credit. So I'm like, okay. Wait. So I'm like, I had to run it back through my mind again. I'm like, wait, run it back. I'm like, run it back. So what did she say? Okay, so yeah, so that's what she said. I'm like, so in my mind, I'm like, okay, 488. I'm still thinking in my mind like big bucks, big money. So when she's saying 488, my head ain't wrapping around that she mean $4.88 or $6 in some change. So I'm like, okay, yeah, she's saying store credit, she's saying this. So I'm not even realizing that she's saying $4.88. Because I'm still got my money set on some big bucks. Not that $80 was big bucks, but it's bigger than $4.88 for all the stuff that I had. So I'm like, wait a minute, say that again. And she's like, we could either give you $6.88 or $4.88. And I'm like, okay, so I said, can I just take all of it in cash? And she's like, see, I'm still not there with her. I'm still not there with her. So she's like, no, we're saying that you could take $4.88 cash, or it's either or you get $6.88 store credit. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? Hold on 1 second. So I'm like, what? I still couldn't wrap my head around it because I knew what I prayed for. And I'm just like, wait a minute. And that was the $80 was the minimum that I was willing to accept. So I'm like, so it took me some time, like I said, to wrap my head around it. And then I'm like, so they took one jacket out of all of the stuff that I brought there. They took one jacket. And the jacket, out of all of the nice stuff they had, it was like they took the worst looking thing. Like, I'm like, and the jacket wasn't bad looking at all. It was a nice Forever 21 jacket. And it was like a flight jacket, but one of those long flight jackets with a hood. And it was practically brand new because I only wore it like once or twice. And but I'm like, I had some nice, name brand boots in there, like a few designer clothes, and I'm just like, why would you accept this Forever 21 jacket? This little cheap old, why would you accept this out of everything that I put in there that was better than that jacket? So, I didn't say this to her, but I'm just thinking in my head, like, what? And I'm like, could we have somebody else look through my stuff again? Because I'm like, it's still, again, it wasn't wrapping around in my head. I'm like, no, we got to call a manager. We got to write a letter to the corporate office. That's how I am. I'm like, no, y'all gotta take a second look at this. And then so the manager's right there, and she's like, oh no, it's just some things where we're not taking in this season, and some of the things that you have, we already have enough of it, and it's not selling, so blah blah blah. And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I was about to cash out with the $4, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'd rather keep the jacket than accept $4 for it. So I was like, nah, I don't want that for it. I was like, and I don't care if I had an attitude with her, because I know that they was hating anyways. I know they was hating, and that's why they didn't. Part of it could have been that they wasn't accepting certain things, but another part of it was that they was hating. I saw it as soon as I walked in the door that they had hate all over their face. I sensed it. So they was just hating on me, and that's why they didn't want to give me money for my stuff, and they only accepted one thing out of everything that I had that was way better than that jacket that they accepted. So anyways, So I'm like, nah, I don't want the $4. I said, give me all my stuff. And I just, she takes me to the door with my bags and stuff. And then now I walk out and I lug my stuff because I was planning on dropping that stuff off, getting my money, and then going off about and doing whatever else I needed to do for the day. But it didn't go as I planned. So now I had to lug these bags around with me. And now, but I was at that point, I'm like, I'm just ready to throw everything in the garbage. And at that point, I'm like, either I'll find one of these donating bins that they put like in the shopping centers. They'll have like a big trash chute, not a trash chute, but a big a big chute where you can donate clothes there. So I was looking for that and I found one. But then I'm like, no, I don't feel like walking all the way across the street and lugging these big bags, and trying to throw it in the trash chute. So I said, you know what? I felt like God was just telling me, just walk straight. So I just walked straight. And then I went to this other shopping center and I left the bags on. I'm like, Lord, what am I going to do with this stuff? Because I said, I'm not bringing it back home because I don't want any of this stuff. I don't care how nice it may look. I don't care if I don't get no money for it at this point. I just want to get it out of my hands. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm like, I just want to get it. At this point, I'm like, I just want to get it out of my hands. So, that's basically, how I felt. So, what happened? So now, dang, what happened? Okay, so yeah, so now I'm looking through all my stuff because I'm trying to find the hood to the jacket that was the one that they was gonna keep. So I'm trying to find a hood to it because I'm like, well, maybe I'll just keep the jacket. One, because it was raining and I didn't have an umbrella, so I needed it to cover me and also my baby. So, but I'm like, nah. I'm like, it kind of stopped raining. I'm like, I don't need it anymore. So, I just was like, I just felt like I just wanted to get rid of all of it. Like, and I felt like God was leading me to just get rid of all of it. Don't keep none of it, And I didn't, like I said, I didn't care at this point about the money. I just was ready to just give it away. So, and then I had asked another person outside that I saw. I was like, hey, do you know anybody in the church who needs clothes or whatever? And she was like, no, I just donated some stuff before and I don't need anything. And I don't know of anybody around here who, whatever. So I was just like, all right, whatever. And then, so now I sit on this bench. Like I said, I was looking for the hood to the one jacket. I finally found that. Looked through everything again, make sure I didn't want nothing out of it. And I left it there. So now I'm like, I was thinking like, Lord, should I just leave it at this bench? And I felt like he was just saying, leave it at the bench. So I left it at the bench. Why as soon as I'm about to walk off from the bags, a worker from the grocery store comes out, because I was in this little shopping plaza. A worker from the grocery store comes out, and he seemed like he could have been maybe like special needs or something like that. You know how sometimes they, because there's nothing against people with special needs, but sometimes they have them doing the carts or they have them bagging groceries and stuff like that. So he comes out and he's like, hey, ma'am, what are these bags or something like that? And I was like, oh, they garbage. So he grabs them up and he puts them in the shopping cart and takes them into the store. And I guess he takes them in the back to the dumpster. And I'm like, God, thank you. Because I just was praying, Lord, I'm ready to throw them in the garbage, or I'm going to throw them in some chute, some little giveaway, donate chute. But I'm not carrying these bags with me anymore. So God sent somebody to come do my work for me. And I don't want to say dirty work because I don't look at it as that. And I'm not looking at him as like he's doing my dirty work. But what I'm saying is God sent somebody my way to come pick up the bags, both of them for me, and throw them in the garbage, which was my intention and which was God's intention for me to do. And then now, prior to this guy coming from the grocery store and picking up the bags for me, this lady comes up to me and she's like, God, as I'm looking through the stuff on the bench, this lady comes up to me and she's like, God told me to give you this, and she hands me some money. And I just tell her the whole story about everything that I just went through, and just let her know, like, thank you so much for just being obedient to God, because you know that meant a lot to me, because I was feeling so discouraged at the moment, because I'm just like, I just, I wanted, I had something in my head to go drop my clothes off and get money for it. And I was disappointed that I didn't get anything for it. And then, like, I lug all my bags with me, trying to figure out where I could drop it off at. Didn't find anything. So I